I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. When you are a smart cookie with a fast brain, everyone assumes you've totally got it figured out because ideas come so easily to you, because you can make connections and see patterns other people don't, which is fantastic. But there's a big difference between ideas and insights and actions and completed projects. How many of your brilliant ideas have never seen the light of day? How many of those ideas are on the someday pile because you just haven't figured out where to start? And how overwhelming is it to have these ideas crashing around in our brain all the frickin' time? These ideas, these unrealized dreams, take a toll on our confidence and our sense of self-worth. It's not because they're bad ideas. It's because they're ideas that have never left the intangible world of thought and entered the tangible world of action. And we are about to fix that. I'm Brandy Agerbeck, and I've spent over 25 years helping people like you get unstuck. I teach you the visual thinking skills that support your executive function. We're not talking about another productivity hack or a time management system, because heaven knows I'm the last person who should be teaching time management. Instead, I'm teaching you how your brain actually works and giving you the hands-on tools to draw out your thinking. And these drawings become the first step or your next step in taking your ideas and getting them out in the world and done. Before we dive in, I need you to grab a blank sheet of paper and a pen or pencil. I'll wait. Got it? Great. Now, first thing I want you to do is take this blank sheet of paper and you're going to trace your hand. But I want you to put your dominant hand on the piece of paper and trace it with your non-dominant hand. And you're going to notice it feels weird, and you may notice that it tickles a little bit, but this will be your worksheet for capturing notes. By using your non-dominant hand, you're going to get wiggly lines. That's exactly what we want. And I just learned in my Befriend Your Brain workshop that I just taught a couple weeks ago, Julia shared that Bo Forbes calls this novel movements. When we move our bodies in new ways that are unexpected, we create new neural pathways and shake things up. Today, I'm going to share with you something you will never forget. 4 pointers and a rule of thumb. Literally. You will use your hand as the guide. What if the solution to your overthinking wasn't more thinking? And what if the key to organization wasn't the next app or perfect planner? And what if everything you need to turn your ideas into reality was at your fingertips? Let's begin. First, this is where your executive function happens. What is executive function? It's all the heavy mental lifting that executes what your mind can envision. And it all happens up here in our prefrontal cortex. It's the motivation, organization, and self-control that gets you from to do to done. Like the task initiation that kicks you into gear, the sustained attention and perseverance that keeps you going, and the emotional regulation and flexible thinking that helps you adapt when things go sideways. For ambitious people like us, these functions are working overtime. You ask your brain to juggle multiple projects, and this project needs your creative expression, but that project needs you to switch into analytical mode. And you need to be thinking about your long-term goals and how to stay organized, while also being in the present moment and aware of the next deadline. Not to mention the prescription you need to pick up for your parent, and when the heck are you going to feed yourself? Of course, you're going to feel overwhelmed and feel that cognitive overload. Your first pointer is to support your executive function with external hands-on tools. My own number one long-running, most adaptable tool is what I call the tangible to-do list. And I use it in exactly this scenario when I'm juggling multiple projects, especially under a deadline, and when I'm feeling completely overloaded. I grab different colors of sticky notes, and I take all those different tasks crashing around in my head, and each one gets put on its own color-coded sticky note. And even when I'm looking at a giant pile of colorful notes all jumbled together, already I feel a sense of relief. And then I get to do the very important work of sorting and grouping and prioritizing and sequencing those tasks so I can get crystal clear on exactly what needs to happen next. The difference between feeling overwhelmed and seeing my overwhelm on those sticky notes is profound. None of these tools are about artistic ability, and everything is learnable. It's all about giving your hardworking brain the external supports it desperately needs. You just need to hunker down and focus. What you really should do is break this down into smaller steps because how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And just stop procrastinating. Traditional productivity advice treats executive function challenges like character flaws. Every single one of us faces executive dysfunction. For some of us, it's part of our wiring, and you might have an official executive dysfunction diagnosis, like I finally got in my late 40s. But sometimes it's a matter of not being able to rub two brain cells together because of lousy sleep or skipping meals. Whether it's a lifelong condition or your current condition, we need to give the middle finger to executive dysfunction. We need to say F you to thinking your brain is broken. Instead of forcing yourself into somebody else's system, you can create the tangible tools that work with your brain. That's exactly why I developed the tangible to-do list. When the standard systems don't work for you, that's not a character flaw. That's important information about what your brain needs to thrive. Pointer number 2, design your own systems that work with your brain, not against it. Let me share a few examples from my life and my particular brain. Both my husband and I have the challenge where if we can't see something, it disappears. So one night we pulled everything out of our freezer, did an inventory, and I drew this drawing to show exactly what was inside those 2 freezer drawers so we could make the best use of what we had. This is a visual tracker I drew to keep myself organized and focused and motivated to complete a 20-hour online course. This dynamic duo is a checklist of the steps and sequence to clean the kitchen, so I never have to think about it and I never have to worry about getting started. I just use the checklist. The whiteboard is to help me capture all my distractions so I can stay focused and on task. These 3 examples perfectly illustrate our third pointer, and that is a match made in heaven. Every brilliant idea you have starts as something completely invisible, as electrical impulses across your neural network. But to take action, you need something concrete to work with. Every time you get your ideas out of your head and into your hands, whether it's the task on the sticky, on the tangible to-do list, or you don't want to forget that idea, so you scribble it on the back of the envelope, or it could be making that big messy drawing, figuring out how all the different pieces of a complex problem fit together. In all of these cases, you're creating that perfect marriage between executive function and visual thinking. Every one of us is using all 9 executive functions all day, every day. But the good news is that executive function loves visual thinking. This is because you give your unique, beautiful brain exactly the hands-on tools it needs to succeed. Again, you are getting your ideas out of your head and into your hands. First, you feel the relief of no longer carrying around all those ideas. Next, you have the opportunity to see those ideas from a little bit of distance, even if it's just arm's length. With this new perspective comes new connections and seeing patterns, coming up with insights you would not have gotten had you not made this drawing. And drawing is writing with more choices. So with drawing, you get the opportunity to put your ideas anywhere on the page, to use color, to use scale, to connect ideas with lines, use different shapes to see how the different pieces fit together. It is this beautiful loop between the intangible and the tangible where visual thinking and executive function are truly wed. Your executive functions love this because they have something concrete to work with. Planning becomes easier when you can see the individual steps. It's easier to focus when you can point to what matters most. And your memory becomes stronger when you give yourself clear visual cues to trigger recall. Point number 4, your mind is fast. You're able to process information quickly and make connections other people miss. You can envision possibilities in an instant. And you might be juggling lots of projects with deadlines coming at you quickly. So, with all of this, you may think your fast brain needs really fast tools, which means you might go towards digital tools where you can type things in really fast and organize everything by your phone. But when everything moves at the pace of your thoughts, you can miss important details or skip crucial steps or just burn through your mental energy too quickly. So, I'm going to need you to make a pinky swear with me. And that is to embrace the friction of analog tools. When I developed my Befriend Your Brain workshop on executive function and visual thinking, I went through stacks and stacks of research. I set myself up for success by clearing out a specific space in my studio that was only for focusing on this particular workshop design and this research. As I did my research, I went back to the tool that Mrs. Andrews taught me in 6th grade, and that was how to capture research on index cards. These classic index cards absolutely helped me stay focused without any digital distraction. And after creating stacks and stacks of these index cards, I was able to group and sort out my different topics and points to get very clear on exactly what the executive functions were, what their corresponding dysfunctions were, and what visual tools supported each one. You would think slide view in presentation software would be a lot like those index cards, where you can move around your slides until you get them in the order you want. But with this project, I found myself hitting my head against the digital wall, and I just had to print out my slides, cut them apart, and use them with my index cards and sticky notes until I got the exact shape of this workshop. Here, each paperclip bundle represents one executive function. Once I had this clarity, I took one paperclipped bundle at a time to my computer, and I was able to very clearly create my slides to teach from. And now it's time for the rule of thumb. This is where folks get bogged down and they say, I'm not an artist, I can't draw, or my handwriting is terrible, or if I draw this out, it's not going to look professional. Here's the secret. Messy drawings can create clarity. And in fact, they create more clarity than that perfect presentation. Your goal is not to create museum-worthy art. It's to get your ideas out of your head and onto paper so you can work with it. So, a wobbly circle labeled the big idea is infinitely more useful than that perfect idea trapped inside your head. Your first drawing does not need to be your final answer. It just needs to be the first step in getting your ideas out of your head and into your hands. Some of my biggest breakthroughs came from spaghetti and meatballs in my sketchbook, circles and lines and words and arrows and a big old scribble, practically illegible but made perfect sense in the moment and led to the breakthrough that got me the clarity I needed. And if need be, that messy drawing can always be refined, can always be improved later. Back to the Befriend Your Brain story. This index card is the very messy drawing that later became this refined model. Look at your hand and remember these 4 pointers and rule of thumb. This is the power of putting your thinking into your own hands to support your executive function, to truly organize your thoughts, and to get your ideas out into the world fully realized. Your ideas deserve to be more than just thoughts. They deserve to be real, tangible contributions to the world. Get your ideas out of your head and into your hands, and watch what happens when your brilliant brain has the tools it needs to make great things happen.